is in session. It's time for the doctor's court.
I didn't do it. I'm innocent.
I love how happy he is when he gets that gavel.
Give the guy a little power.
These cases today, though, docs, lots of angles to them. What started as a romantic night out on the town ended in court after a meal of lobster and raw oysters sent a couple to the hospital. Within hours of the meal, couple showed classic signs of food poisoning, vomiting, diarrhea, but that's not why they're making headlines. They claim the oysters left the husband paralyzed for months. They sued and won $6.7 million.
A jury awarded them nearly $7 million because of food poisoning. As News Channel 8's Ryan Hughes shows us, despite that multi-million-dollar verdict, the lives of the Dade City couple will never be the same.
Angel and Maria Martinez regularly made the trip from Dade City to Hillsborough County to enjoy Lobster Haven Seafood Market. Both Angel and Maria fell violently ill. Angel's sickness got worse.
His immune system, in response to this infection he got from the seafood, was eating into his nervous system.
The restaurant's insurance company wanted to give them a mere $20,000 to settle, but with more than $300,000 in medical bills, the Martinezes said no way and got representation. We talked to attorney Brandon Cathy, who was part of the team that tried the case and helped secure a $6.7 million verdict.
When the jury verdict came back, both of the Martinezes had tears streaming down their face.
A person who answered the phone at the restaurant told me, quote, "It's still ongoing, so we're not allowed to talk about it."
Wow.
First things first, just to describe what happened, this gentleman had something known as Guillain-Barré syndrome. In med school, we learned this as an ascending paralysis. And, you know, this is one of those things most commonly happens after some sort of GI or respiratory illness. And then what happens is your body will actually create antibodies that end up attacking your own tissues, in this case, your peripheral nervous system, and it can lead to this ascending paralysis. The good news is, in many of these cases, over time, symptoms will resolve. But it is not surprising that the food poisoning actually potentially, I'm not going to say it did or didn't because it's impossible to prove with 100% certainty, but it makes sense that possibly raw seafood would lead to this.
Possibly, but this is not what we would assume. The type of organisms that you're most likely to find in shellfish, especially raw shellfish like oysters, is not an organism that typically triggers Guillain-Barré syndrome. So in my mind, the causation, I don't know, was there. And you know what? The restaurant admitted, yes, you probably got sick, the food poisoning part in our restaurant. So I'm assuming that probably other clients also got sick as a result of what they were serving over a period of time. But
it's classic to a few weeks after a respiratory illness or a GI illness, that's when you might start to develop Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is exceedingly rare. This is not a common thing, but it's not like you can go out there and prepare yourself for a case of Guillain-Barré syndrome. This can happen for reasons we can't fully explain. My point is the time course of this would support the idea that possibly the food was at fault. But having said that, I will humbly say I do not agree with a verdict of $6.7 million because food poisonings happen all over the place. And to me, whether it was the raw oysters or something else, every time we eat any food anywhere,
you're assuming the risk.
And no one can ever predict. Guillain-Barré syndrome is not something where it's cause-effect, where, you know what, I'm sorry, but you ate some raw meat, for instance, and got sick. There's no way that you could ever predict that illness would lead to Guillain-Barré syndrome.